Alright, so it says the Crips clipped her on her birthday, God forbid. The story of Lady Takeoff from Mob Pyru.
This episode, I'll be discussing the life of Lady Takeoff. Brianna Steins was born on January 23rd, 2002, in Los Angeles, California. She was raised in Long Beach and went to Jordan High School. A product of her environment, she would join Mob Pyru, an aggressive black gang located on the east side of Compton. Their turf covers a beefy chunk of landscape between Rosecrans to McMillan, between Thorson and Bullis, that's mostly comprised of single-story homes. But the bulk of their members reside in a 2-block radius, centered in and around K Street, which is a block densely packed with apartment buildings that they refer to as the projects. Although being from this hood comes with a family-type atmosphere, girls from this gang don't have the luxury of resting in their feminine energy when their outside surroundings is a war zone. This battlefield has hardened these women into being more masculine. Mob Pyru has a group of homegirls, and Lady Takeoff was loved by her section. She was known to be active, fights, been in shootouts, and was allegedly used for setups. At a young age, she became all about her money. She connected with some pimps, hoovers, and began working the blade on Figueroa, catching dates and finessing tricks out their pockets. She was living the fast life. When she needed to double up, she hit the road. Trips to Vegas and Oakland would be profitable. She was also involved in theft, boosting in particular. She got her bands up and received a $17,000 PPP loan. After a while, she stopped doing her thing on Figueroa and enrolled in UEI. She had aspirations to be a CNA. She was turning 20 and wanted to throw a private birthday party to turn up. So Brianna and her sister Marnisha began organizing and planning. She booked an Airbnb in a quiet residential.
He said she was turning 20? Is that what he said?
Neighborhood in Inglewood. They proceeded to invite who she wanted to pull up, sending the address to various gang members from different hoods. Unfortunately, the address would land in the wrong eyes. On the night of January 22nd, 2022, at around 10 p.m., Brianna's party was warming up. She had the food ready, and guests were starting to pull up. Also around the same time, 2 members of the East Coast Crips were across town, allegedly loading up their handguns and assault rifles. These 2 members were Corey Irvin and Khalil Santos, and they were a part of the shooter clique of the 11-8 East Coast Crips. Allegedly, there was some wolfing back and forth on Instagram between the Pyrus and the East Coast Crips, stemming from a social media post. Apparently, the intended target social media post.
Look how close this shit is. Like in radius, like, are we, like, this is exactly what I was saying, where there's like folks that ain't never been through none of this will come on here and act like they do shit, like they've been through shit like this, talking crazy. We see academics, we see Drake, we see a bunch of these guys who got mansions. You feel me? Like, you can just go to your mansion and be away from everything. Like, these niggas dead ass live. Look at the block radius. Also, she could have been smarter than that. Like, there's no street smarts, bro. Like, what are we talking about? Why would you send your address to your safety is first, I guess. I mean, whatever.
Apparently, the intended targets would be at the party, and they wanted to send a big message. Back at the party, Brianna, her sister Marnisha, and friends were drinking, vibing, and having a good time. But at around 1:27 a.m., Corey Irvin and Khalil Santos pull up to the Airbnb address in their vehicle and park around the corner on Hargrave. They exit their vehicle, then creep up to the home. In the driveway of the house, they begin shooting. They then bust down the door and unleash a hail of bullets. Over 100 shots were fired. Brianna was shot, and she dropped dead. Her sister Marnisha was also hit, and she too dropped dead. Their friend Terrence suffered multiple gunshot wounds, and he died on the spot. His cousin Jaden was also shot and later died at the hospital. A fifth victim was also struck by a bullet and was in critical condition, but he ended up surviving. Witnesses describe it as a scene out of a horror movie. After they committed the massacre, the 2 men walked to their vehicle and fled off into the night. The scene of the quadruple homicide was filled with blood, bullets, and anguish.
Fucking sad.
The 4 murder victims all had gang ties. 1 from Mob Pyru, 2 from 135 Pyru, and 1 from Grape Street. Mob Pyru was allegedly sliding daily after the murders. Friends and family came to the scene to show love and leave a memory.
Dozens of candles light up the sidewalk in Inglewood as those in this neighborhood can't help but come by and say a prayer for 4 lives taken too soon.
I didn't hear anything about the shots. I didn't hear the music or the party.
Neighbors in this community are reluctant to show their faces over fear of retaliation. But this woman a few doors down is in disbelief.
We heard the shots. At first I thought it was firecrackers, but then it was like, I told my husband, this sounds like war.
You can see the bullet holes all over this home on North Park Avenue. Police say the shooters had an assault rifle and at least one handgun.
There's nothing to indicate that these individuals were invited to the party. They knew the party was there. They obviously had some animus to people they knew were going to be there,
right,
and they planned it and ambushed the people.
We need to say what happened. Somebody knows besides those who came and did it and those who laying dead. You know something, say something.
Breonna's funeral had a big turnout, and many came to celebrate her life and pay their respects. For over a year, the killers were on the loose, but on the first week of August of 2023, 7 men from the 11/8 East Coast Crips were indicted on murder charges related to a shooting rampage in Inglewood, Compton, and LA that left a total of 7 people dead and several others wounded. All 7 individuals were a part of the ultra-violent shooter clique within the 11/8 East Coast Crips. The birthday party attack was a culmination of a killing rampage that began December 6th of 2021 when Corey, Khalil, and Kendall drove to an RV park at 195 East 116th Place and shot multiple bullets into an RV, killing 2 men. The following day, they allegedly drove to an Arco gas station where they got out of the vehicle and shot 2 people sitting in a parked car. A third man sitting in another vehicle was also shot. All 3 survived. Then on December 14th, 2021, Corey, Khalil, Samaj, and Marvin drove to a residence in Compton where allegedly Khalil and Samaj fatally shot Antonio Dotson. Breonna was still young and figuring out life when she was gunned down. Her sister Marnisha worked 2 jobs for the U.S. Postal Service and FedEx, and Taryn had just moved from Vegas to Torrance the year prior and was training to be an electrician. On August 5th of 2025, Corey Irvin and Khalil Santos were sentenced to 5 consecutive life prison terms without the possibility of parole for the gang-related shooting spree that included the killings of 4 victims at the birthday party in Inglewood, along with the slayings of 3 other people in South Central and the Compton area within less than 2 months. The judge called the crime sickening and tacked on a consecutive sentence of more than 200 years to life for Corey and more than 100 years to life for Khalil. Kendale Taylor was convicted of 2 counts of second-degree murder, but acquitted of 4 other murder charges. He has already been sentenced to 30 years to life in state prison. 4 other defendants are due back in a downtown Los Angeles courtroom on September 30th. Samaj J. Brown was found guilty of first-degree murder, along with finding true the special circumstance allegation of murder, while lying in wait for Antonio Dotson's killing. Marvin Lanier was convicted of second-degree murder for Antonio Dotson's killing, but was acquitted of the killings of Hector and Jose. Jurors deadlocked on murder charges against Kevin Salter and Terrence Adams in connection with the killings of Hector and Jose, but convicted the 2 of other charges, including attempted murder and conspiracy. At the sentencing for Corey and Khalil, Tiffany Steins, the mother of Breonna and Marnisha, told the 2 that she would never forgive them. Breonna's brother is currently honoring her memory with his clothing brand Takeoff's apparel. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Man, R.I.P.
Welcome to Hood War Stories. In this episode, I'll be discussing.
He shit so many Crips, they threw parties when they thought he was dead. The story of Munchie B. Is he really blind?
The life of Munchie B. Munchie B was born in Inglewood, California, into a family full of Bloods. His father was from the 89 family Swans, which is considered one of the deadliest blood sets of all time, and his older brother is from Crenshaw Mafia. He grew up in a nice 2-parent household in the middle-class yet gang-infested neighborhood of Morningside Park. As a youth, he enjoyed playing sports, in particular football and basketball, but eventually the gang life took over. In the 8th grade, Munchie officially got his put on and was a member of the Inglewood family Bloods, and things would get real from that point. One afternoon after school let out, Munchie and fellow Blood members were walking to the Carl's Jr. on Manchester. When they arrived at Carl's, a car pulls up. A few men wearing green hop out and walk past Munchie's group into the Carl's Jr. Them wearing all green signified that they were from Hustlers, who was an enemy to the Inglewood families and NHP. A physical altercation ensued, which ended up with the Bloods beating up the Hustlers and taking their food. After the markout, Munchie and a few others make their way to the Inglewood swap meet on foot. A few minutes later, a car pulls up and lets off numerous shots. Munchie down. 3 more shots. Another Blood down. Munchie got hit in the arm, and another bullet grazed him in the head. He was admitted to the UCLA hospital, where they stapled him up. He left there with the red cast and was out trooping on Crenshaw in Manchester the next day. In hindsight, the attempt on Munchie's life would turn him up on Max. Part 1 of Munchie's rampage, he allegedly slid on every last one of his enemies repeatedly, from the 30s to the 100s, legend Crips, and even participated in putting in work on Queen Street, where the Inglewood families were once engaged in a blood-on-blood war. Munchie was relentless, and everyone knew he was out for blood. He allegedly had people scared to come out the house, terrorizing and chasing down 9-0s through Jesse Owens Park. He was wreaking so much havoc, even his enemies had to give him his credit.
Munchie B, you know what, kid? Let me tell you something about Munchie B, bro. That's on the damn homies. Kels pulling up. Kels doing it, like, he made shit interesting. He made shit fun and whatever. But then I went to the county and I was squabbling niggas and shit. And like, and then the homie Twin from 107, he was like, yeah, E-Man. Munchie be on some weird shit, bro. But it's like, I know he made shit interesting. I know Cuz made shit interesting on the hood because, nigga, he was the only niggas coming through the hundreds. He was the only niggas coming through our sides. But, you know, whatever Cuz got to say, I'm not going to say nothing about Cuz because, like I said, I know Cuz came through. Cuz went to Washington. Like I said, ain't that on the block side? I'm pretty sure that's on the block side. Cuz went to Washington Homecoming and was in the stands and walked out that motherfucker and nothing happened to Cuz. But I'm pretty sure that was on the block side. But, you know, that's we know. We just gonna let that go.
And on the other hand,
Does Munchie know he did all of this? Munchie B, the host, the blonde guy? Shit. God damn, man.
many of his enemies despised him, which spoke volumes of what type of problem he was. Over time, Munchie became the biggest trophy in his hood, with the highest rank. In 2010, Munchie had the city buzzing when he and 30 other Inglewood family bloods marched to Nipsey Hussle's clothing store, which was then Slauson Tees, and tore up the whole establishment and took all of the clothes. Allegedly, a few Rolling 60s were there, but had to flee when the mob of families stormed in. Hours later, Nipsey, as well as a gang of other NHs, slid back through Inglewood heavy. Prior to Nipsey rapping, apparently Munchie and Nipsey didn't cross paths much, as Munchie claimed to not have known of Nipsey. Munchie continued his rampage, allegedly shooting up the 40s weekly. With how active Munchie was, it was inevitable that he made frequent trips in and out of jail. But there's one infamous rumor hanging over Munchie B, like a dark cloud, from one of those times he was in the county jail. Allegedly, 4 Leaf and a few other Rolling 40 Crips caught Munchie B in the court tank, squabbled him down, KOing him. They then dragged him to the corner and allegedly proceeded to put peanut butter in his booty hole. For context, in the county jail, peanut butter is put on pastries, honey buns, danishes, cinnamon rolls, etc. This was the 40s sadistic way of exposing Munchie B as sweet, soft. There's talk that a broomstick was involved in the fiasco, but allegedly peanut butter was definitely involved in the mix. Nipsey even tweeted about the incident.
Oh shit. Like I remember Wack was saying it, and I did a video, I reacted to the video about the peanut butter when Adam 22 told Munchie, yeah, like, is this true? Whatever the case is, like Wack said that, you know, and he was like, none of that happened to me, you know. God damn, but that's like, I'm really looking at the motherfuckers who did that. Like, that's crazy. Like a whole man just, yeah, that's crazy.
It's alleged Munchie turned up super after he got out of jail. Allegedly, 3 Crips got knocked down, 2 Rolling 40s, and 1 Rolling 60. This is all alleged and rumors that floated around LA during that time. Munchie has been shot on 6 different occasions, but it'd be one bullet in particular that would be life-changing for him. One day in 2012, Munchie was driving down Imperial in his personal car. This was a car that he never did dirt in, and was more low-key, one that he would ride with his family and kids. All tense, a car that his enemies wouldn't recognize easily. As he pulls up to Imperial in San Pedro, another car pulls up alongside. As soon as the light turns green, that car starts dumping on Munchie's vehicle, lighting it up with bullets. Only 1 bullet struck Munchie, but got him right in the temple. It immediately went black for him, and he crashed into some railroad tracks. Unfortunately, his optic nerve was severed from that bullet, causing Munchie to lose his eyesight. When word spread that Munchie got shot in the head, the Crips were rejoicing, and multiple parties were thrown to celebrate because they thought he was dead. Ghost from Legend Chris went as far as to say he joined whatever said killed Munchie. Members from the 40s and the 60s were infuriated when they found out that he had pulled through. But if you kept your ear to the streets, you may have heard that it was actually someone within his own gang that was behind the shooting. Munchie's from the 9 Deuce clique of the Inglewood families. Rumors have floated that the gunman was actually an older member from the 77th Street clique. Fast forward to 2016, Munchie's close homie Red Bull was murdered at a pajama party in Carson.
One man is shot and killed, 2 others wounded in a shooting in Carson.
Yeah, this happened just before midnight during a party in the 100 block of West Victoria Street. Eyewitness News reporter Jade Hernandez live at the scene with the very latest for us. Jade.
Well, when we pulled up, Victoria, Maine was blocked off. It still is right now. The shooting, we understand, happened where these balloons are tied right now. I spoke to 2 women actually when we pulled up, and they told me that they were just too scared to talk on camera. But they say that they were at the party when gunfire erupted last night before midnight. They tell me they don't know who was shot and killed or who the other 2 men are who were taken to the hospital. They say this was a birthday party for a woman, and at least 200 people were there. To ensure safety, birthday organizers even hired security, and every person who entered was checked for weapons. But these women told me about 30 young men showed up after the party started and were turned away because they didn't have IDs and some had guns. Something happened in the parking lot, shots were fired, and the next thing that these 2 women told me that they knew was that someone who had been shot in the parking lot ran back into the party.
Drakeo and the sting team would end up going down for the murder. When Drakeo was released in 2020, he aligned himself with the Rolling Hunters and the 6-0s, who are the Inglewood family's main enemies. He also began dissing Red Bull on various songs and occasions. This further sparked a back and forth feud between Drakeo and the Inglewood families, with Munchie being the frontliner and defending his fallen homie. Things reached new levels when Drakeo dropped Ingleweird, a track that dissed the entire city of Inglewood, which included a shot aimed directly at Munchie. I just dropped 50 on a blind nigga, he ain't see it coming. Meaning that Drakeo put a 50K hit on Munchie B. The night that Drakeo was murdered, Munchie popped a bottle of Hennessy to celebrate. He also let off a series of tweets, letting the public know what was on his mind.
Oh my God.
These days, Munchie B is on his OG status. His reputation in the streets has been solidified, and he is regarded as one of the realest. He encourages the youth to stay away from gangs. He says he's not trying to be a role model, but an example. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment.
Hold on. How Nipsey and this nigga was cool. They said that Drakeo, as this guy just said, Drakeo had beef with Munchie. And oh my God, this shit crazy, chat. What the hell? How?
This episode, I'll be discussing the life of Kels. Mikhail Buchanan was born on November 24th, 1994, in Los Angeles, California. He grew up in the unincorporated community of Westmont in Los Angeles County. Back in the 80s, the section of Westmont was known to have well-off middle-class black families, and much of the area is composed of well-maintained single-story homes, raised by 2 loving parents. His father was a successful music producer and is still collecting checks from 90s hits, tied in with Master P and Romeo. The home Kels grew up in was the biggest house between Normandy and Western. His living quarters comprised of a 7,000 square foot 6-bedroom, 3-bathroom multi-story residence. He was in between this house and his grandma's house, who also lived in the hundreds. By most accounts, Kels had a wholesome childhood, and most considered him to be a good kid. Coming up, he enjoyed skateboarding and took pride in showcasing his skills.
Imagine a nigga skating, like literally pull a drive-by and some on a skateboard and shit. Shit crazy. A skate bar.
I want to give a shout out to the people that support me, Transitions, Sublime Supremacy, J2L.
In addition to skateboarding, Kels rode fixies, danced, and played football. At Washington High, he was known as the funny cool kid. He would transfer to Narbonne before eventually being kicked out. Kels was chill, but peers have said he'd be down for whatever to seek approval from others and fit in. After high school, Kels was outside, popping out at the parties, doing normal teenager stuff. He was still skating and having weekly dice games at his house. But between ages 18 and 20, there was a shift. Growing up in the hundreds, Kels was cool with the Blocks, the local gang that controlled the neighborhood. They were his friends, and he'd be seen with them from time to time. It wasn't until after he caught his first case at age 20 for flocking that he became a full-fledged gang member. Dimeball was born. The Block Crips are one of the most active sets in Los Angeles. To be from there, you have to be willing to crash out if needed. So it's without a doubt Kels was putting up Rookie of the Year stats in order to prove himself. By the time his best friend Drakeo took off in 2014 with Mr. Get Dough, it's alleged Kels already had 2 bodies at that point. Kels would end up doing time for the burglary case and was released in September of 2015. In just a few weeks of being home, he'd catch a new case for driving under the influence. Around this time, Drakeo created the Too Greedy Family Stink Team, which consisted of personal friends and family, and gang members from the 30s, 40s, and 100s. With Kels being one of Draco's closest friends, he'd be a Stink Team member by default. Kels' legal troubles continued. These new charges he accumulated over the next year included loitering with a criminal street gang, taking a vehicle without consent, and burglary. Meanwhile, in 2016, members of the Stank Team were getting into conflict with the B Team behind the scenes. Shootings and skirmishes were taking place, and tensions were intensifying. Things would come to a head on the fatal night of December 10th, 2016. At Draco's apartment on Aviation, close to LAX, the Stink Team were just chilling, consisting of Drakeo, Ketchy, Young Bull, Ralphie, Solo, Kels, and Good Finesse. People were smoking, drinking, and coming in and out of the apartment. At some point, Drakeo shows Solo a party on Instagram, and they all make plans to go. Before they head out, Solo receives a call from AB, another Stink Team member from the 40 Crips. He tells him about the party, and that he's trying to go too. AB joined the group in a separate car as they were leaving. The Stink Team caravans in 5 cars to the party. Drakeo drove in the Benz with Solo riding shotgun, and Kels sitting directly behind. The party's in the industrial section of Carson. The group pulled into the parking lot at the party, but did not go inside. They were just sitting in the car, talking and smoking. At some point, Too Shitty approaches the window and tells them the Inglewood families are here. Drakeo then suggested they should get out of there. Within seconds, a group of football players and Red Bull from families walk past the car. Kels and Red Bull's eyes briefly lock, and a hail of gunshots would immediately follow. Drakeo and Solo ducked. When Solo looked up again, there was a lot of commotion. People were running, and the gunfire was ongoing. Solo took a peek a second time and saw Kels holding a .40 caliber Glock pistol. Kels said, "I emptied the clip on that nigga." AB was standing outside of his vehicle and still shooting a .38 caliber revolver. All the cars peeled out after the shooting stopped. There's silence the whole way back to Draco's place. Back at the apartment, no one knows whether anyone was actually hit. AB drops by for a hot second, but never actually enters the apartment. Solo eventually goes to sleep, waking up at 3 a.m. to the news.
1 man is shot and killed, 2 others wounded in a shooting in Carson.
Yeah, this happened just before midnight during a party in the 100 block of West Victoria Street. Eyewitness News reporter Jade Hernandez live at the scene with the very latest for us. Jade.
Well, when we pulled up, Victoria, Maine was blocked off. It's still.
So this is the story of Munchie B's best friend. Wow. Because I just reacted to the other Munchie B video. So this is basically Munchie B best friend, how he got killed. And it's from basically, he's telling the story from Drakeo and them side.
Still is right now. The shooting, we understand, happened where these balloons are tied right now. I spoke to 2 women actually when we pulled up, and they told me that they were just too scared to talk on camera. But they say that they were at the party when gunfire erupted last night before midnight. They tell me they don't know who was shot and killed or who the other 2 men are who were taken to the hospital. They say this was a birthday party for a woman, and at least 200 people were there. To ensure safety, birthday organizers even hired security, and every person who entered was checked for weapons. But these women told me about 30 young men showed up after the party started and were turned away because they didn't have IDs and some had guns.
Too Shitty stopped by around 3 a.m. and told everyone that Red Bull had been killed. One Stink Team member responded with, "Oh well." Red Bull had been shot 5 times and was pronounced dead on arrival at the Harbor UCLA Medical Center. No partygoers talked to the police, and no one could identify the shooters. The main evidence amounts to shell casings from a .40 Glock pistol and a .38 revolver that the detectives find at the scene of the crime. There's surveillance video of cars in the parking lot and two groups of men walking past each other, but faces are impossible to identify, and the actual murder is not captured on video. Sometime after the shooting, Kels was seen in a video on social media. He was drinking and said that he was sipping on some Dead Bull, which was a play on Red Bull's hood name. About a week later, a detective hears Drakeo's name while listening in on a wiretap in an unrelated gang case, confronting Red Bull's family with the information. The detective alleges that they too heard street rumors about Drakeo somehow being associated with the murder. This triggers a full focus on the Stink team. The Chunky Monkey video provided the leading detective with information that matched 4 factors discovered at the crime scene. One clip features Drakeo pulling up in a black Mercedes-Benz, similar to the one spotted before the shooting. Another scene shows Kels pointing a .40 Glock pistol at the camera. The next clip is Ralphie pulling back his jacket to reveal a loaded .38 revolver. Towards the end, you see Solo. He was the only one actually identified at the crime scene. A tall, light-skinned, dreadhead black male was the description. The detective runs one of the serial numbers of the Glock through an automated firearm system and claims that the model matches the ballistics of the evidence found in Carson. Things began to unravel from this point. On January 2nd of 2017, a SWAT team raids Drakeo's apartment, and he's arrested along with other Stink Team members, with the Stink Team members behind bars. The tricks, lies, and backstabbing games begin. Wired snitches were planted in each of their cells. In the course of the operation, Too Shitty inadvertently tells an informant that one of the shooters is a young 40 Crip named AB, which stands for Arlington Blue. After AB was arrested, the detective placed him in a cell with a confidential informant, a fake OG from the East Coast Crips. Their conversation was recorded. After a series of cat and mouse and manipulation games, AB eventually confides everything to the snitch. He admits that he was shooting with the .38, while Kels allegedly fired with the .40 Glock. AB revealed that he'd been actively beefing with Red Bull, and once he saw him walk past, it was blast on sight. AB thought someone was snitching on him because out of the many people arrested, the police accused him of shooting with Kels, who was in fact the other shooter. He said, "We really wasn't supposed to be going on a mission. It's just when we got there, we was there for a nigga from Athens." Investigators would interpret this as a reference to RJ, a rapper from Athens, who Drakeo was dissing at the time. AB agreed with the informant's statement that Red Bull was at the wrong place at the wrong time and fell in their glove. AB said the weapon he used would not leave behind shells. AB told the informant no one got caught with the gun afterward, and that Drakeo had a very distinctive car that witnesses probably recognized at the scene, so the police raided his house. He added that they found several guns, but not the ones used in the shootings. AB told the informant, "I popped him and then he was limping out of the patty, and I went to the car with the blower, but you can't see none of this on video because I had moved my car." The informant asked whether AB shot the victim in the head, and AB replied, "I shot the nigga the last 2 times. He might have got shot in the head though, I don't know." AB said, "On Hood, me and Kels the last 2 niggas the police got. They got everybody else, and they got us 2 last. That's why I know they got something." He and the confidential informant speculated as to who the snitch might be. 2 weeks or so after the January 2017 raid on Drakeo's apartment,
he trying to figure out who the snitch is while he's speaking to a snitch. Like, what the hell?
Solo wound up in the county jail. The detective had served a search warrant on all of the Stink Team's social media pages. He found something on Kels' Facebook. It was a several seconds long video of Solo pointing a .38 revolver at his head and firing into the ceiling. The detective obtained a search warrant, went to the apartment, and had the ceiling taken down. He found a bullet still embedded there, and it matched the make of the .38 shot at the crime scene.
Wow.
Enough to result in Solo's arrest for both illegal possession of a handgun by a felon and negligent firearm discharge. In the interrogation room, the officers told him that the gun charges would lead to his 3rd strike, which meant life in prison. At the time, Solo didn't realize that he wasn't even eligible for a 3rd strike. He only had 1 felony conviction for a residential burglary. They told him that they had witnesses placing him at the scene and footage of him holding the murder weapon, and if he didn't confess, they might try him for the slaying of Red Bull too. Initially, Solo lied. He said he never went to the party, the gun was fake, and that he hadn't seen Drakeo in almost 9 months. The act lasted only 30 minutes after they returned him to his cell. He was filled with anxiety and aware that they already knew too much. He folded. Solo requested another interview and eventually copped a plea deal. He went on to tell the detectives everything he knew. If he didn't, they were ready to sentence him to 13 years in jail for firing that gun in the ceiling. Meanwhile, the core members of the Stink Team were running their program heavy in the county jail. Drakeo, Ralphie, and Kels were all getting active and turning down no fades.
If you're non-affiliated and you hold your own and you stay there for a while, people will start liking you. Like Drakeo. But Drakeo and the Sting Team dudes, they wasn't no regular non-affiliates. They banged Too Greedy Sting Team like it was a gang. You feel me? And they had an indictment and a gang enhancement for the gang. Drakeo was a non-affiliate that had to fight a lot of bloods. And then eventually, he started running with the neighborhoods. You know? And he wasn't a buster. Not at all. He wasn't a buster at all. That's my boy. Drakeo's my partner, my good people. Long live Drakeo, you feel me? His brother, Ralphie, I know me and Cud know each other. But I've been housed with him one time on the 2000 floor, 22, 24, before they came to jail for the crazy stuff. And Tiny Munchie was on him. Tiny Munchie, if y'all can ask Tiny Munchie what happened, I ain't gonna speak on that. But when he was on that 5000 floor, they say he was like the reigning champion in non-affiliate fight nights. You feel me? The reigning champion non-affiliate fight night. So apparently he got paused. They said Ralphie after like the 4th, 5th fight, he was just like the man. You know? They said he had handlebars. You know? And that's just the fact. That's just the facts. I heard from the homies, a reliable source, that he was up there putting pause on things, you feel me? And plus, they was like beefing with the Bloods.
Fast forward to trial. Solo takes the stand and implicates Kels and AB for the murder of Red Bull. And because everyone else pled the fifth or refused to testify, it's his testimony that will be the only one entered into the public record. At the start of his testimony, Solo discussed his upbringing and his origins with Drakeo and the Stink Team. Raised in poverty and 60 Crip territory, he bounced all over the city. He never gangbanged, but his close proximity and family ties to Crips was enough to get shot 6 times at age 22. He met Drakeo in 2009 when they danced for different jerk crews. They didn't become tight until 2015. Drakeo needed some lean and Solo came through. From that point on, Solo was in the videos dancing, and on stage at shows flashing guns trying to look hard. Solo went on to testify that he told the detective that Kels told him about another shooting he committed. Kels allegedly told Solo he had been riding through Inglewood when a car started chasing him. Kels shot at the car and hit the finger of a member of the Inglewood families who went by the name Seven Flame. The shooting occurred somewhere near Crenshaw in Manchester. In addition to the Seven Flame shooting, Solo provided the detective with the information about 6 other shootings. The detective was able to corroborate that there were in fact shootings, matching all of the circumstances that Solo described. Although the detective attempted to discuss the shooting with Seven Flame from families, Seven Flame was not cooperative. Solo also claimed that Kels threatened his life if he went through with snitching. With Solo's name tarnished in the streets and his safety potentially in jeopardy, he was given a total of $1,500, and he used that to relocate out of state. A jury convicted Kels of the first-degree premeditated murder of Red Bull, 5 counts of premeditated attempted murder, 1 count of shooting from a motor vehicle, and 5 counts of possession of a firearm by a felon. Kels was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, plus a consecutive term of 135 years to life. Fast forward 2 years later on December.
I don't get that premeditated part, because based off of the story, they went to the, you know what I'm saying? They went to the party. They didn't know such and such was going to be there, right? So how is it premeditated?
December 18th, 2021, Drakeo was murdered backstage at the Once Upon a Time in LA Music Festival. The Stink Team members that night received major backlash for allegedly running out of harm's way, while Drakeo was frontlining. J Hood from Stevenson Crip chimed in with a word on what transpired.
That video, how Drakeo get killed, how ran, left, and I can't even blame him, because last time niggas at a party with Drakeo, got cracking with Drakeo, niggas fed up and got life. Drakeo lawyer threw the niggas under the bus. I know niggas. I was in the county with niggas. This was my celly, AB from 40.
But how is Drakeo turned under the bus when there was an obvious snitch in the case? And the snitch was their friend. You know what I'm saying? That's my question. That's just a question. Because based off of what we just watched, how is it that, like he said, Draco lawyered up? Cool. I mean, what is he supposed to do? Not get a good lawyer if he has the money or whatever? But like, there was an actual snitch that the dude literally told on Kel the story, and then he told on Kel other shootings. Like, he was like telling. He wasn't just like halfway telling. You feel me? So how is it Draco's fault that niggas got life? Like, them niggas started shooting and killing them. You know what I mean? Like,
Draco lawyer threw under the bus and got that life sentence. And Draco ain't do nothing for no lawyer, ain't putting no money on books. Then he gets no packages. And that was with Draco that night. They know this. So it's cool to hang around Draco. But you think them ready to get a life sentence for Draco, knowing he ain't gonna get no lawyer or nothing? Come on, bro. Everybody ain't with the crash out. Ain't dumb. Ain't scared either, though.
Upon receiving the news of Draco's murder, Kels was distraught, considering that was his best friend. He penned a heartfelt letter to Draco in the wake of his death. Kels went through a roller coaster of emotions during his grieving process. He recently took to Instagram to get something off his chest. While on lockdown, Kels has reportedly got the Inglewood family's gang logo whacked out, displaying how deep his hatred runs for them. The once good kid has turned into a demon, and at this point he's in too deep. Kels recently dropped a new song that has received positive feedback. He's working on a few follow-up tracks. Kels is holding his head up and is well loved by his hood. Additionally, he still has the support from Draco's brother Ralphie. Those outlets make sure he's taken care of. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
I ordered 200 hand-forged knives to my...
Wow, that's an interesting ass story. Like, I literally, you know what I'm saying? There's like hearing how Draco, you feel me? There's like hearing how Draco got killed, but hearing it this way like kind of paints the full picture of why he might have got killed, why there was like, you know what I'm saying? And it was by accident because I watched the Munchie B video first, and then someone just told me to watch the Skater because it was titled Skater, what do you call it? It said rich skater or something, or wealthy skater becomes a gang member. So that was like a good little title, but yeah, that's crazy. That's insane, bro. And I didn't know that them niggas ran and left him. I didn't know that happened. So he was like hanging around folks that was envying him and shit. I mean, once one nigga in the group snitch, you gotta start like, you know what I'm saying? Then Draco best friend, which is the Kels nigga, went to jail because of the, you know, the snitch shit or whatever. And like all these guys are like gang affiliated, you know, doing fuck shit in the streets. So it's not like niggas is gonna be surprised, like, you know. But when I heard about Draco the Ruler, I heard like how he got killed, and I always just wondered like, you know, why. And I feel like this kind of showed us, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, man, that is crazy. What the fuck?